big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna. Today is a special show. I have celebrities and of course I have the head of the leading OTT platform in the country. I have Hotstar's Nikhil Madhok, joined by two people who don't need any introduction at all. I have Rasika Dugal, who is now a digital queen, if I may, and I loved her particularly in Mirzapur. I'm sure most of you have. And of course, Purab Kohli, who also is a man who needs no introduction and continues to surprise us with their latest show, Out of Love. I can't wait to watch it. I think it's the story of today's generation. But before I, deep dive into your new show, I want to first start with you, Nikhil. Firstly, many congratulations on such a formidable innings with Hotstar. It's by far today the leading OTT platform. You launched, Hotstar VIP just a few months ago.
That's right.
But having said that, a lot of your competitors have also gone, mobile only, new schemes and all of that to attract more audiences. How, according to you, are you viewing this landscape? Given that you're the leader, you would have a much more, I think, nuanced and mature approach as to how you're looking at the Indian market, and more importantly, how do you ensure money?
So when Hotstar launched in early 2015, at that point in time, there were a lot of concerns on whether something like this will be successful or not. It was early days. And I think in the last 4 years, our journey from really scratch to now 300 million monthly active users has been something which we are all quite proud of, very happy. The next part of our journey was also to start building our subscription business, as you pointed out. So earlier this year, in March 20th, we launched Hotstar VIP, which is, I think, pretty much the first of its kind and a fantastic proposition, because just for 365 rupees per annum or 1 rupee a day, you get all of Star's content, television content available at 6 o'clock in the morning, many hours before prime time. You get the latest Bollywood movies, you get live sports, including IPL, and all the original content that we're creating under Hotstar Specials. And we're extremely happy and delighted with the response that the service has received. It's been quite amazing, actually. But as I said, 6 months ago and early days in the world of subscription. So just like we built the market for people to come on to OTT and watch content, we're also hoping that through Hotstar VIP, we build the subscription market in the country. And that's really the goal.
And so basically the difference between Hotstar Premium versus VIP is just that we don't get international content.
That's right. You don't get international content. Hotstar Premium is at $999 per annum versus $365 for VIP. And you have exclusive English content also available on the premium service.
Before I talk about Out of Love, I want to talk to both of you as, as actors who have built their career pretty much, I think more her than you, but pretty much on the digital platform and really being an OTT queen of sorts. Would you say, in your own understanding of audiences, would you say the difference between what they consume on TV and film versus what they consume on an OTT platform is significantly different, and the kind of people who are watching you is significantly different, or it's just about purchasing power?
I don't know, honestly, because I'm not really involved in that side of things, and I've also not been very good at making my own decisions as a creative person because of how and who watches it. It's been mostly a personal journey where I pick a certain project because I'm interested in it for my own creative artistic satisfaction.
Sure.
Also I think it's a little difficult for me to understand the difference between a film-going audience and an audience who watches digital content. Many of my films, I have not had that kind of reach as much as the reach of the work that I've done in the digital space has had, whether it was the short film Chutney or Mirzapur or Delhi Crime or any one of those. So this has been a much wider audience.
Right. And if you look at your peers who are doing mainstream films, do you think that the audiences are different though? Do you think which is why even Hotstar is doing Hotstar VIP. So I guess the massy mainstay population of India, is it moving on to OTT platforms and watching those, originals, which I think all players are making great attempts and trying to tell compelling stories?
I've always believed in the versatility of audiences. I believe that if you think that the certain kind of people will watch a certain kind of show, I think that's, in my opinion, a very narrow view. And every time I used to say that, because the smaller independent films that I was a part of were not getting the kind of distribution that I felt they deserved. Everybody would always say, oh, the audience is not ready for this, or this is not massy enough, or people are not ready to watch this. And I would always say, no, just give it to them with confidence and they'll consume it. And we've been waiting for a variety of content for very long. And I think the digital space is sort of proof of the fact that anybody watches anything if the story is compelling enough, because it's really a space where different genres are thriving. And for example, something like Made in Heaven and Mirzapur both have had a very wide audience. So I think to believe that a certain kind of audience will watch this and a certain kind of audience will watch that, in my opinion, is a narrow view. But I'm not a marketing business person, so yeah.
What would you say? Would you be in agreement with her?
There's a large audience that loves to watch entertainment. Large part of that audience have been ignored for many years in cinemas, especially because they are people for their kind of cinema. They've given up.
So top end of the pyramid.
Top end, or I would say even mid, somewhere in the middle,
Yeah,
because commercial cinema largely caters to the bottom end of the triangle. So I would say the middle and the top, which is a sizable number, is completely ignored in the theatres. I mean, I know people, friends of mine, and myself also, given up going to theatres at some point, saying that this is not something that appeals to me, and unless it gets reviewed by people who you know and you trust, and then you would sort of drag yourself into the theatre to watch it. But when it's on an OTT platform, I get calls now for films I did 10, 12 years back that the people have seen on the internet now and said, hey, we didn't know you did this film, it was so good. But the film came and went on a Friday and nobody saw it. So that audience, which has been ignored for such a long time, now has an opportunity to watch.
Let me get your view. Propensity to migrate, really. Are you seeing that, or is it very hesitant?
As an audience size, my numbers could be slightly off, but the estimate is between 50 to 60 million people buy movie ticket in a year in the country. Whereas the number of people who are on OTT is upwards of 300 million. So obviously that audience is fairly...
But not paying, no Nikhil.
That's true. I mean, right now it's about consumption. Whether that consumption is paid or free is, let's say at this stage somebody is paying on their behalf, right? That it's accessible to them, they're paying for data, or somebody's subsidizing it for them. But if you look at just consumption, this is big. It's also big because it's customized to your taste. There's a lot of content available. You can choose what you feel like watching, and that's what's leading to an explosion versus television or even cinema, where you need to have more collective viewing and fixed timings when you can watch this.
Yeah. Let me ask you about your Hotstar Originals, which is a nascent journey for you.
Yes.
How are you looking to tell stories which will be compelling and different when compared to the Amazons and Netflixes of the world, which are the big giants here, and have actually come out with some successful originals? What would be your differentiated path?
We look for stories which are Indian stories, which resonate with a large number of people, right? So it should reflect the mood of the nation. It should resonate with a large number of people. That's what we naturally gravitate towards. So we launched Hotstar Specials with a show called Roar of the Lion, which was MS Dhoni's story from IPL 2018 and how they came back after a 2-year ban and actually won the IPL, and we launched it 3 days before the IPL. So it was, that was the mood of the nation. It was a big story of a sporting icon. We had another very successful show called Criminal Justice, which is on the criminal justice system of the country and how it affects everybody. It's something that everyone's a little sort of wary of. And we're launching Out of Love, which is about modern marriages and infidelity. So these are themes which large number of people can connect with, and that's what's important. And I think the third piece is that given Hotstar's reach, our ability to reach all states, all languages, we also find that we are a natural collaboration partner with some of the best storytellers in this country. So in Jan this year, when we launched Hotstar Specials, we spoke about people like Shekhar Kapoor, Neeraj Pandey, Ram Madhwani, Dinesh Vijayan, Tigmanshu Dhulia, Nikhil Advani. All these people are creating shows which are at different stages of production for us.
Sure.
And actually starting with Tigmanshu's show Out of Love, over the next 12 months, all these shows will see the light of the day, and we're very happy that we've been an important partner for them to collaborate with and bring their best stories for. So I think it's really about big stories which resonate with the country and being a platform for some of the best creative storytellers that India has.
Sure. Let me come to Out of Love. I mean, the plot looks very interesting, but for the uninitiated, it's really a story about infidelity and betrayal. Am I right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, how it was to tackle such an issue on mainstream. Even if there are such issues that are tackled, we don't see them very often on mainstay television or even massy films. So, how is the story panning out? Do you have, a happy ending? Do you?
Some could say that.
Or is it, very realistic portrayal of how life is? Yeah, over to you.
I think it's an intimate and sensitive portrayal of what two people go through when a relationship is seen infidelity. And that's what drew me to it, and that's what moved me about the original, which the show is based on, which is Dr. Foster. So, and I always feel that, especially with infidelity, there's so much secrecy around it that you never, people who are in this situation often don't know, don't acknowledge that they need help, or even don't know how to find help, and even don't know how to talk to people around them who might be able to help them out in a situation like this. And I was quite moved by how they follow Meera's journey in the show and show the choices that she has and how her dilemma to make a choice. And it's almost like, and I hope it is for the audience, that they'll almost feel like they're making a decision with her.
So you're clearly the victim here, as we can tell.
No. That's not how I see it.
But yeah, go ahead.
I'm just faced with the situation which I didn't expect, and I have many ways to go from there. And you'll have to watch the show to know which way I go.
Yeah.
There's a small story here. The writers, when they were writing the series, they had a little note in front of them to constantly remind them of what they want to say through the show, and it had 3 words which said, "Never the victim."
Okay.
So it's that's what makes the story quite interesting when you see it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll get that
Perspective.
sense.
Yeah, sure. So from a man's point of view, does the story actually talk about why a man is infidel?
It's very simple in this case. It's very simple in this case. He has a big heart and he loves 2 women.
Oh, okay.
That's what he believes, the character, not me. But I think what's really interesting about it is that the way the story is told. I think, in fact, there's lots of, I would differ from you saying that this topic has not been made before. I mean, you've seen films like Silsila and you have...
But really in the yesteryears.
Yeah, in the yesteryears, yeah. Right now, there's nothing that we can draw a parallel to. But I think what is really exciting about is that it's told in a thriller kind of format. So when you're watching, it really keeps you at the edge of your seat, and you wonder what is she going to do next now, or what's going to happen to this relationship. So I think that's a very exciting, and the original has that too, and they've retained it with Out of Love. And when you watch it, it really compels you to come back and see the next episode, because you want to know what Dr. Meera Kapoor is going to do.
What was your motivation, in the sense Hotstar's motivation of looking at a subject that is so bold and actually so relevant in today's times?
Yeah, I think one interesting thing was that a lot of the content that we've seen on OTT till now tends to be quite dark and violent, and also a bit heavily skewed towards men. And we felt that this is a story that brings a very refreshing new genre which people are not talking about, and relationships are at the core, at the heart of everything that we do. So here you have a strong female voice, a family story, a story of relationships, and which is very different from the regular fare on OTT. And again, a big theme, which is always something that we look for. Interestingly, about 6-7 months ago, Rasika and I had met at an event, and we just generally spoke about the fact that we must collaborate together, and we met about 3-4 months after that. And when this sort of show came about, we were absolutely delighted to have her on board, and within 6 months of our first conversation, this show is here. Yeah.
Maybe you should have another one right now.
Let me ask you a trick question.
Yeah.
So will Out of Love work on Star TV?
It's a very interesting question.
Actually, I've thought about that myself.
Yeah.
What's your answer before you say?
I think there are lots of stuff which were primarily meant for television, which gets which is on Hotstar, which works on Hotstar clearly. Some of the biggest shows that people are watching are television shows, and so I don't see any reason why the reverse can't happen. I think it's just that in the television medium, when there is a family watching together, there could be certain themes, there could be certain situations that culturally in India make people a little uncomfortable when watching in front of the family, but you're okay to watch together, and they don't need to be just themes which are titillating or anything. Just culturally we tend to be a little queasy about some things. I think that could be the only reason to consider. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything in the story that a much larger audience can't watch. We're hoping for a large audience to watch, and if they watch it on Hotstar, we're very happy. Down the line, if we feel the need to put it on the television network, we'll consider that as well.
How have the monies changed with so many OTT players, so many originals being made by so many? How is the remuneration bit changed for actors?
I always hear the same thing from
Well, for
every
some it hasn't
producer
changed at
that I've
all.
been hearing for the last 10 years. Budget bahut kam hai.
This is my cue to walk out of the room.
So I don't think anything has changed.
Is there more pay parity in the OTT space than, let's say, commercial cinema?
I get asked that question very often, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know what my co-actors are being paid. I'm dying to know what Purab got paid for Out of Love right now. But I don't know. I don't have that information. But yeah, people do tell me that, men tend to get paid more than women, and that's an issue. And that's what people seem to think, but I have no...
You have no data.
I have no data.
Well, the bar
on the
that I was
matter.
drawing was my first job, which was really, I mean,
Purab, let's have a conversation after
it was a
this.
little more than the pocket money my father gave me at home.
So I hope that there is equal pay. I mean, in terms of, you're valued for not
The only
your
person
gender,
who knows this
but
answer is Nikhil.
Nikhil, is there pay parity?
No, I think the important thing is that, at least for us, when we make our decisions, it's really about who's playing the most central role. Right?
Sure.
And if it happens to be a female lead, then it's the female who should be paid most. And if it's the man who's driving the show, whoever's the central protagonist and who's on the
Yeah,
on the
but
back
here
of
I'm
his
really
thing.
talking about commanding fees. I mean, for instance, are you seeing that there is more pay parity in the digital space with, a lot of women doing powerful roles as well? Or
I would say significantly so. That in television, of course, it was always a much more female-driven medium, so those challenges were lesser.
Yeah.
I think in cinemas, because especially in smaller towns, going out, etc., is still a challenge. You need to be accompanied. All of those challenges come in, and as a result, a movie a man can watch tends to get more popular, because
sure.
and that's why the dynamics maybe could be that way. But I think as far as OTT, etc., is concerned, it's not something that even comes into our consideration. That it's really not the gender, but who's the central protagonist on the back of whom we're driving the show. Sometimes it can be 2 people, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, and that's what determines.
Most OTT players who are producing originals, just like you just mentioned, the big your entire repertoire of what's currently WIP. Most of them are known filmmakers, right? So my question is, what you are using for television as production houses very rarely is being used for the digital platform. So what is the fate of, let's say, these production houses who would also at some point aspire to be making shows for as originals for OTT platforms, and that doesn't seem to have happened. Only the big names are being attracted to make these shows.
No, I think it's a fair point that you raise. In our lineup, there are 3 shows which we currently have where we are partnering with our television producers. There are also people who are first timers altogether, first time director, first time writer, so that even new voices get an opportunity for stories to be told. I think in the beginning, when you're setting things up, when you're trying to draw attention, when you're wanting to work with people who have a body of work, established repertoire, who you can trust a little more, I think some of the names that I mentioned qualify basis that you know what you're signing up for. But at the same time, we have people from the television world, and we have some brave new voices as well. And I'm hoping that as those shows see the light of the day, some of them become the next big thing. That's something that would give me personally a lot of joy and satisfaction.
So if I had to quickly ask both of you as protagonists of the show to state one line either from the movie that will entice our viewers to come and watch your show, what would it be? Take your time.
Oh my God.
Say one line about it or one line from it?
From it, ideally.
From it.
Well, I think for me it's Parker sitting down, chatting with a common friend and saying that, is there a problem that I love 2 women? That's his justification of doing what he's doing. And I think lots of people may have felt that emotion in their life.
Have you?
I mean, you have loved more than one person or feel attracted to more than one person at some times. There are times in your life when that happens. Whether you act upon it is a different story. Akash does act upon it.
Okay.
I think a touching moment for me was when Meera says to Akash that, I just want to know. It's not about catching you or anything. I just want to know what happened. And in fact, that's a pretty common thing in infidelity. I hear that the person who has been cheated only wants to know what happened. And I thought that was very moving.
You have any thoughts? Have you seen the show?
I've seen it more times than both of them put together.
I haven't seen
He hasn't seen it at all. I
haven't
still
seen
have
it yet.
episode 5 to watch. He's seen it over.
No, I've seen it multiple times. It's absolutely fantastic. In fact, after I watched it twice over, and I reached out to the cast and crew to tell them what a lovely job that they'd done. And it's the kind of show that you cannot stop, because the character Meera Kapoor is her journey is so interesting and so unpredictable that at the end of every episode you just want to know what's going to happen next, what is she going to do next, and that's the most amazing part of it. It is a page turner, but not in the way that we are used to seeing page turners of thrillers or crime shows. This is a page turning family relationship based story.
Well,
just amazing.
Can't wait to watch it. Thank you so much for your time and
Thank you,
all the
Sonali.
very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.